Your system is the lock and the key. $1 from your own system is worth $1,000 from another man's system. John Henry, Earn Your Leisure. Shame and guilt often walk hand in hand with the output of your day, the hour, or even the minute. To paraphrase Brené Brown, shame is when you feel like you aren't meeting the expectations of others, while guilt is when you feel like you aren't meeting the expectations of yourself. Both are intertwined, as you can internalize society's expectations of you and take it on as your own. It wasn't always this way. For centuries, the main measurement of your worth was how your craft provided for yourself and for your family. The concept of hustling every day wasn't a badge of honor. It was just something everybody did. The axiom, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," wasn't a point of pride. If you are an early rise farmer, hardworking craftsperson, or what in modern terms we'd call a day laborer, you didn't have much of a choice or a lot of time to sleep anyway. You just did your job based on the resources you had at the moment. Our biggest hurdle today isn't finding the right hack for more output, but realizing that accepting our limitations actually improves our results. Years ago, my family and I went to Italy and ate our way through several cities, each meal seemingly better than the last. The food tasted both simple and rich. When we asked about the meal, even the most humble location, they would unfailingly say that the pasta was made in-house, the wine harvested from the next-door neighbor's vineyard, the fish caught by the locals this morning, and so on and so on. It was odd coming back home, going out in our charming San Diego neighborhood, and paying a premium for what we Americans call the farm-to-table experience. It was strange because we were paying extra to have an establishment maximize our experience with the local resources at the moment. Why does nearly every Venetian restaurant serve squid? Because Venice is surrounded by water. It is also why they don't serve a lot of chicken or beef. The restaurateurs respect their offerings, and because of this limitation, actually master the resources they've got, honoring both the land and the customers they serve. In conversations with hundreds, if not thousands, of creatives over the years, I see many of us being landlocked looking for fish. Is a new parent trying to find time to be creative? Is a senior citizen pushing to do all-nighters? Is a 9-to-5er believing the only way to have the energy to pursue their dream is to immediately quit their day job? We're not honoring where we are, who we are, or what we've got in this moment. The problem is that we mistake productivity, which is one of the most loaded words in modern history, with effectiveness, which is based on your own particular goals, resources, and abilities. On productivity, the word has been redefined in ways that don't fit strong personal health, well-being, or even output. It wasn't always this way. As recent as 2016, I published The Productive Bites as Entrepreneur and how you can maximize your time without burning yourself out. The operative word here, though, is your. Not how you can maximize the organization's time, the government's time, or more broadly, society's time. Your time. Being productive should be based on your own criteria. Thus, the personal productivity goals and expectations of, say, a 75-year-old retiree will likely be different than that of, say, a 25-year-old grad student. Unfortunately, society's ruler of measurement is often the same. Check the ever-popular magazine cover stories featuring the next young, sort of proven entrepreneurial prodigy like the now-disgraced Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes, or celebrating how much venture capitalist money a startup got, even though, to paraphrase Shark Tank investor Mark Cuban, you are essentially leveraging against your future. There are plenty of 30 under 30 lists. I recommend 40 over 40 and 50 over 50. And when we do that, let's celebrate the older people who are working and the older people who aren't working. Showcase this amazing talent that can be hired instantly, says 60-year-old make love not porn founder Cindy Gallup. An industry veteran, Gallup wants to question why we hold certain metrics dear and totally disregard others. If you're told that the target is youth and millennials, ask why. My industry plays a powerful role in shaping the way we think and behave. Here's a way we can use this power for good. When we make age aspirational in advertising, we make age aspirational in real life. The fact is your strengths, the power you draw on to be an effective leader, citizen, or creator will change depending on your circumstances. These changes can be slow, or these changes can be rapid. They're based on where you are in your life. Our lives are like the grooves of a vinyl record. They begin smooth and impressionable, like a black acetate. Over time, the feedback of our environment and the call of our needs creates habits. The needle falls into the groove, making the pattern more ingrained. Even when we direct the needle elsewhere, it naturally falls from the peak into the comfortable valley. What we often forget is that our best grooves are actually ever-changing. These grooves are animated, ebbing and flowing based on where we are and who we are. They are far from static. They are alive. I call them the fates. F-A-T-E, focus, agility, time, and energy. These resources are our life force, never ending until we end. They are life itself. Anthropomorphizing them helps us realize that they truly are not under our control. If you're hoping to will yourself to have incredible focus, to become super agile, to make more time, or to have unstoppable energy, then I've got some really bad news for you. Just like an octogenarian, no matter how fit, cannot match the energy of a healthy teenager, we should not expect to will our best resources into some pretzel knot of power. In fact, most of our power gets wasted by trying to either utilize the same resource or fate we had in abundance before that we no longer have now, or to make ourselves master resources we have very little of now in hopes of it becoming our main resource tomorrow. This remains wishful thinking at best. Instead, you can look at these resources like levers. They are not absolutes, and they operate independently of each other. You may have a brief period where all four are at their peak. More often, though, one trait will run particularly high, and at least one particularly low. Mastery isn't about keeping all four at their peak. This thinking is unrealistic, if not unhealthy. For example, surviving a serious health procedure or trauma and immediately pushing to maximize your energy doesn't make much sense at all. You need space to heal, so perhaps time becomes one of your activated powers. Instead, the goal here is to maximize whatever phase you are in your life. Each lever possesses its own different strengths and attributes. If you are hyper-focused, then your view should be on big-picture thinking. It's possible to be so myopic that you succeed at one narrow goal, but you miss out on the bigger win. If you are super agile, then you should hone in your consistency. Being flexible can become a major weakness without having a set plan or commitment. If you have ample time, then your main challenge is, as business leader Adam Grant calls it, attention management. The more time you have, the bigger danger you have of wasting it. Lastly, if you have an abundance of energy, then your main challenge is goal management. It is easy to waste plenty of energy pursuing the wrong milestone. Perhaps the biggest challenge in understanding your strengths is acknowledging what you don't have in your toolbox. This requires vulnerability. You may not have the energy to help someone move their furniture or to help them fight their fight, but you might have the time to listen to them and give them the encouragement they need to fight that fight or to just move that furniture. You might not be able to physically be at an event for them because of previous commitments, but you can show up in another important room entirely and make sure their name is mentioned. You could miss an opportunity to be there for someone at that moment, but you can show them in other ways that you care as much as you do. You may not be able to take their burden, but you can connect them with someone else who can help carry the load. It is being vulnerable enough to say, I can't do that, or it is not possible. It is learning how to say no. When we show up no matter what, then we deny our emotional, physical, and mental boundaries, and we end up going upstream when we really should be acknowledging our current moment. The ego gets involved when we worry about our limitations. We're having a hard time focusing, so we beat ourselves up about procrastination. Or circumstances give us a blank slate to work with, and we get mad about not being sure what to do with the sudden time we have in our hands. Instead, we have the opportunity to recognize our versatile, curious mind of the moment. or to honor our rare chance to do things at our own pace. But first, we have to acknowledge, understand, and accept our boundaries of the moment. If you happen to be hyper-focused, super agile, time-abundant, and extra energetic at the moment, then that balance will likely last for quite literally that, a moment. Balance doesn't mean all cylinders going. Balance means knowing the strengths of your current life, embracing your place, and leaning into your flow. Balance means your abundance parallels your lack, and knowing that the cycle can and will change in the future based on the past. Balance means creating where you naturally rise, like a river automatically finding the subtle cracks in the basin created before the drought. You don't worry about the strengths you don't have at the moment. As you know, as long as you breathe, life can shift at any time and change where your abundance lies. There are people and organizations in our lives that we trust. How did that happen? We develop trust over time, Seth Godin says in The Practice. Our interactions lead to expectations, and those expectations, repeated and supported, turn into trust. These organizations and people earn trust by coming through in the difficult moments. They are not perfect. In fact, the way they deal with imperfection is precisely why we trust them. We can do the same thing to and with ourselves. As we engage in the practice, we begin to trust the practice. Not that it will produce the desired outcome every single time, but simply that is our best option available. Trust earns you patience, because once you trust yourself, you can stick with a practice that most people can't handle. Your purpose isn't to make things happen. Your purpose is to recognize the best timing to create. Part of that timing is based on how you create in the first place. Your current strengths represent this timing. Your current strengths represent the fates. Here's how you can embrace them.